So to me, that mitigates against it too. So I'm fine with the pick, but I'm not enthusiastic, and I'm not enthusiastic about the fact that they traded up. But it's the Chiefs. They're good. They'll find a way to use him effectively. I don't see, and he's super fast. So I'm not going to sit here and criticize the pick.
You sound like Dominique Foxworth. This morning is like, well, give it a letter grade. A B. I mean, it's the Chiefs. It'll work. It always does. Patrick Mahomes will make it work.
Right.
You know, he wasn't like enthusiastic, but he's like, no, it'll be fine. Like, you know, they have Andy Reid, they have Patrick Mahomes. It's going to work. No,
for instance, say by some kind of a bizarro world where Brock Bowers was still there, that'd be an exciting pick to me. Wow, that guy, he catches everything. You know, maybe they'll find a way to use him a million ways. But so I'm fine with it.
How much of the judgment from fans on that pick is who they got, and how much was the way in which they got it? My point is, had they, once it got to 28, was there a guy that people would go, oh, that's an A?
I think the Ladd McConkey crew would have been excited because it was their guy. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know, I always caution people. Like, I remember, listen, to this day, I think one of the more overrated players in the history of Chiefs football is Eric Berry. And I think the fact that he went to all these Pro Bowls and they didn't do squat till the end of his career when he kind of quit playing speaks to how much of an impact he really made. But Eric Berry became a darling for fans leading into that draft.
Yeah. And we were out there at the facility, and that place went bonkers when they called his name.
Because that's the guy they decided they wanted, good, bad, right, or wrong. They only had 5 guys to pick from, right, to get it right. And they loved it. And I to this day, I don't think it was the right pick.
Right.
But fine, and he was a fine player. As a safety, with defensive coordinators that, in my opinion, didn't do a whole lot with safeties, and played him in the box like freaking, who's the guy everybody hated?
Daniel
Sorensen. I mean, Daniel Sorensen replaced him and won a championship. Playing the same way that he played.
And the other thing, you know, he made some very memorable plays.
He did.
Play against Atlanta.
He's better than Dan Sorensen. I'm not saying they're the same guy.
Right.
I'm just saying they replaced him with Dan Sorensen and won a championship the next year. Okay, so...
And let's face it, he got ill, and that's part of the whole narrative.
Yes.
He was cleared of cancer the same day I was, damn it.
But that was considered a great pick.
Right.
And my point simply is, it was fine.
Right.
It wasn't great, it was fine. But when you're picking 32, it's tough for people to get excited because there's 100 different options.
Right.
And so you're only going to make about 2% happy because you got their guy.
Right.
So, you know.
But if you trade up, it's more that's what I'm saying. It's more exciting. Oh, they targeted that guy. They like him. They were, willing to take a big swing. So, whatever.
So they take what now? They do what with the rest of the draft?
I did like your discussion with Adam about the tackles that they've maneuvered around the tackle position, but and your point about the fact that it seems like a position that there's much more certainty in scouting and evaluation of these guys, and that the guys who are good are very often picked highly. So it's hard to get a good one. But I still think adding to that position there and maybe finding the one time that you've got a cheap, good tackle for a long time is worth it. I would say it's worth it.
Yeah. When you see that they've hit on 1 out of 3 wideouts late in the second, like Sky Moore, no. McCole Hardman, I mean, 1.5. I mean, that was a fine pick, so it was serviceable. They gave up a third, but second, third round went Kadarius Toney and Sky Moore, Lucas Yang. Like, there's a number of misses. Like the whole wringing of the hands. If you gave up a first, second, and third, I don't know if I can go there. Yeah, because you take what is the best case scenario and go, well, look, it could be these guys. Yes, but it more likely would be these guys.
Well,
so to your point about and I'm agreeing with you. I'm just going to the next level. If you will come to the realization that we're not that great. I mean, no one is at picking tackles. Bakhtiari is a unicorn. So the idea that you're going to get a Pro Bowl left tackle in the 4th round, don't plan on it. And so if you really want to solve left tackle, then don't throw a 3rd-round pick at it every 4 years. Throw a 1st, 2nd, and 3rd at it and go up and get the guy you're sure about.
Right. Or find a guy who's played football in the National Football League and is not going to be an embarrassment for you, that he's going to play at least good football and pay the price for it.
And that was Donovan Smith on the low end.
Right.
But, Laramie Tunsil was allegedly available but didn't get away. I think they would do it, but I believe that Andy Reid has taught the rest of the league. In Philadelphia, he had 2 fantastic tackles. He got to Kansas City, he took a good tackle first, and then he got Mitchell Schwartz right away. And I think everybody else is like, well, wait a minute, what are we doing here? We do a pretty good tackle, which is probably what Cleveland thought Mitchell Schwartz was, just because they sucked. He had Brown's stink on him. And in reality, he's a brilliant right tackle. Mm-hmm. And they let him get away. And Andy Reid grabbed it. They're like, oh.
And there's only a couple of guys who are head and shoulders above the rest at that position. The difference, there's a lot depends on the teamwork of the offensive line, how they're going to play.
A lot depends on the quarterback.
The guard next to you, the quarterback who's playing with you, all kinds of stuff.
Let's take a break. I want to talk about the Royals. They win today 8-0. We'll talk some more NFL draft. Danny Klinkskill's here. It's a little Danny Unleashed, brought to you by Easton Roofing. Commercial, residential, Easton Roofing's got you covered. Estimates are always free. No payment collected until you're 100% satisfied. Handling the entire metro area. That includes Lawrence and Topeka. Find them online at eastonroofing.com.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
Hey Kansas City, Joe Spiker, Easton Roofing here. Well, it hailed like crazy, and the last thing you want to do is deal with another roofer. So don't. When they show up, tell them you know a guy. An Easton Roofing sign in your yard lets everybody know you want it done right, and it's the best storm chaser repellent you can get. Call us today for a free, no-obligation inspection, 913-257-5426 or eastonroofing.com. Easton Roofing. Integrity matters.
All right, the good sense. End of the hour answer. What is the highest pick the Chiefs have ever used for a wide receiver? They have used 5 picks higher than the one they used last night.
Sly-Mo, Dwayne Bowe. It's Anthony Hancock, isn't it?
It is Anthony Hancock.
Who was a disaster.
Yes.
Yes.
But
yes.
Sly-Mo, Dwayne Bowe, Jonathan Baldwin, Hancock, and there's one more?
Yep. We used his name, and I used his name in a trivia question earlier this week or something, and he was one of the answers we had in Chumps yesterday. More famous for something else. He was the first one that they drafted with a pick.
Elmo Wright?
Elmo Wright. Yeah, Hancock 11, Wright 16, Sly-Mo 21, Dwayne Bowe 23, and Jonathan Baldwin 26.
What a list.
Yes.
When Dwayne Bowe is number 1 with a bullet.
Mm-hmm.
Ouch.
Only Pro Bowler of the bunch.
You always liked him when you talk about Eric Dickerson. Anthony Hancock looked good in a football uniform.
Oh, yeah, he did.
He looked sweet in a uniform.
You know who he was similar to? Kadarius Toney. He couldn't blink and catch.
Hey, man, 73 for 1266, 17 yards per and 5 TDs. That's great for a season. It was his 5-year career. But, if you could compress that into 16 games instead of 59.
You pretend it was a baseball, per 162, even though it wasn't.
Yeah.
I think
I love those numbers. That's a Pro Bowler.
Listen, he was not drafted into an era of Chiefs football where they seemed to get it.
And that was the last draft before Makovic, so that was the last Marv Levy draft.
And Marv was not one to want to sling it around the yard.
No. Not until later.
To his credit, he evolved.
Yeah,
he did. Well, and he got the quarterback.
Yep. Yeah, didn't have the quarterback there and then either in 82.
And I think, he inherited the quarterback. We had Bill Polian on our 2 Deep NFL podcast. Great conversation, by the way. I'd encourage anybody to go back if you subscribe to it or not. But Bill Polian was great and was talking about, like, when he got to the Bills, one of the reasons why I know he's a really good GM is he made a point to credit his predecessor with the players that he got to inherit. Mm-hmm. Like, he did a lot of things right. But and with the Colts, like you talked about who he inherited there, like he inherited Marvin Harrison.
Yeah.
And, he's like, well, we were fortunate that we had this and this, but, having that quarterback's important. It'll make everybody else look better. There's no doubt about that. So what do they do next? What you?
I still think that because they can't lose, really. Because they, except for quarterback, they can use just about anything. But I still think maybe trying to get creative with a tackle would be okay to me, because they're going to have to address the position somehow, and this is a way to address it. I don't think it's necessarily the solution. And if they don't like somebody that's worth moving up in the second round for, then maybe just sit there, and if there's one they like, take it. But they can. Another wide receiver would be fine. I mean, we know how we've seen we've seen the track record of what it's not been great, and wide receivers it's not a reliable draft pick. I mean, if you wanted to make a safe career of being a GM, you wouldn't pick a bunch of wide receivers.
And throwing numbers at it. It's not a bad idea.
No, it is a good idea.
Listen, guys, that if they're there at some point down towards their pick or at their pick, but I like Roman Wilson of Michigan. I like Malachi Corley of Western Kentucky.
I just
Jalen Polk, Washington.
Who doesn't like a tackle named Roman Wilson? I mean, that is...
he's a wideout.
Oh, a wideout. Oh,
yeah.
I don't. Who doesn't like a football player?
No, I agree.
Roman? Yeah. I mean, that's cool. I mean, Roman Gabriel just died, so we need another Roman.
I would love to just talk to him and hear about he flew to school every day. Because he lived on Maui, but I think went to school on Oahu.
Oh, jeez. That is a short flight, but...
Yeah.
I've made it. But
just
still.
Like, how was that, man? What was that like? I mean,
I jumped in my private plane from... No, I didn't.
I don't think that was the case. I mean, I think there's probably a small plane. I don't think he was like getting Aloha Airlines every day.
Probably a group of 5 or 6 players.
Well, and I bet it's because he could ball. Yeah, exactly.
You think they'd paint that plane yellow like a school bus?
It was probably one of the big power schools of Hawaii. I'm not necessarily saying it was a Catholic school, but let's just, for the sake of the example.
Let me look. No,
Matter Day of Honolulu.
Now I'm intrigued.
So, anyway. Bishop, Oahu.
Football factory.
I past him. Hold on.
97 straight wins.
I'll start talking about the Royals. Royals win again today by a count of 8-0. It was only 1-0 heading into the top of the ninth inning when the Royals exploded for 7 runs. I sense a failed mission for you to find out his high school. Do you have a Wikipedia page?
Honolulu, Hawaii, parentheses, St. Louis.
Oh, St. Louis
School.
St. Louis High School. Yes, there you go. Got it.
Not St. Louis, Missouri.
Don't hate me. I was right.
Roman Wilson was born in Maui and grew up in Kahai. His parents grew up in Michigan and met at Western Michigan before moving to Hawaii. Wilson started playing football at the Pop Warner level, speed trainer in 6th grade. After he attended Lokalani Intermediate for middle school, the family made the decision that he would attend football powerhouse St. Louis High School in Honolulu, a program that has produced numerous college and NFL players, including Tua Tagovailoa, Marcus Mariota, Olin Kreutz, Nate and Nick Herbig, and several others. His daily commute...
All well-known Catholic boys.
His daily commute to the island of Oahu initially required him to take a flight to and from school until he moved to Kapolea on Oahu to make things easier. His father later transferred to Honolulu to be with him.
Good for them.
They won the Hawaii High School State Championships 99, 02, 10, 16, 17, 18, and 19.
It talks about he did touchdown, helping St. Louis to an undefeated 11-0 record in the 18 state championship. He again led the team in receiving as a senior as St. Louis went 12-0 and captured its fourth straight